President, please be seated. The court is now back in session, and the floor is given to the international co-prosecutor to put further question to this witness. I would like to tell the co-prosecutor and the civil party that you still have one session this afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, could you tell the court, so we have a better idea, how far is it from Phnom Penh to where the 1st of January dam was built? Can you give us an estimate either in kilometers or tell us how long it takes to drive in a vehicle?
Answer. From Phnom Penh to the 1st January dam, it is about 115 kilometers. This is my rough estimate. Perhaps it's above that or lower than that or shorter than that.
During the DK period, do you know how long it would take in a vehicle to travel between Phnom Penh and the 1st January dam?
Answer. If we are traveling today, we have smooth road, new roads, but the road is still under construction. I think by a vehicle we would spend 2 to 3 hours. But if the road was in good condition as before, I believe it will take only 2 hours from Phnom Penh to the 1st January dam.
Sir, during the DK period, did you ever see visitors from Phnom Penh come to the 1st January dam?
No. Answer. There were visitors. They were from Korea and China. As for ordinary people, I rarely saw them visiting that place.
Sir, did you ever see films being made or film crews at the dam site?
Answer. On the inauguration day, there was filming, and people were asked to carry us, and the film was shot.
You've already told us about, on one occasion, Kai Pok told you that Angkor was visiting. Do you remember if there were other occasions when leaders from Phnom Penh visited?
Answer. I do not recall it. I do not know them all. Some people, they told me some of the names, but I do not recall them all.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, sir, for keeping your answers precise and not speculating. We appreciate that. So, before any of the visits of the foreigners or the inauguration ceremony that was filmed, did you ever receive instructions about how to prepare for those visits?
Answer: I do not know about it. But if there was filming, there, we were asked to work hard and carry earth. And the head of the group needed to be in the front, and he was asked, or he or she was asked to work hard and carrying earth.
Okay, thank you. If time permits, I will show you a short video later. But, sir, I want to ask you to clarify a few things that were recorded as having that you said during your 2008 interview. And the first one occurs on the 4th page in English, the 5th in French, and in Khmer, the ERN is 0023-9909. You answered that vous told me, that's you, sir. I'll begin again. Vous told me that if anyone was lazy, I had to report that to upper level, for instance. Fever and convulsive fever and trembling, tractor fever, truck fever, fever but with an appetite, ideological, that is psychological, fever. Sir, what did you mean by explaining that Voot told you you had to report these various types of fever?
Answer: the meeting frequently mentioned about this type of disease. The meeting mentioned about those who had ideological fever, or some might have a fever or truck fever.
What did that mean, for instance, truck fever? Does it mean a person is physically ill with a high temperature, or does it mean something else?
Answer: at that time, people felt sick. They were physically sick, and they were allegedly sick. I do not know whether they had any intention. People were accused of being lazy, but actually they fell sick. And if they fell sick, and if they were being accused that they were lazy, usually Khmer Rouge says they had truck fever. Actually, it is better not to report on them.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. And then on the next page, you were answering a question. And again, this would be page 5 in the English version of the statement, page 6 in French, and in Khmer, ERN 00239910. You said, since there was not enough food, most of the people were emaciated and fell ill. The investigator then asked you what were the living conditions there, and you talked about how people slept in buildings with men and women separated. And then you said living there was unhygienic. Each team dug a latrine for the respective team. There was no soap, and they bathed in the stung Chinook. Can you explain what was the hygiene like for those working and living at the dam?
Answer. There was no hygiene in the work site during that period. We could bath, but we had to relieve ourselves everywhere in the forest, in the pits that we dug. And there were big plies everywhere, and if we did not wave away plies, there would be many plies during the time that we were eating.
Were people supplied with mosquito nets?
Answer. No, we were not provided with mosquito nets.
Was everyone given footwear, some type of shoe or sandal to wear?
Answer. Yes, we had a sandal made from the tire of the car.
You mentioned meetings where these lazy people who had fevers were discussed. Were there meetings just for you as a village leader and those above you, or were there also meetings that regular workers had to attend?
Answer. It was not a secret meeting. The meeting was held in public. Everyone could hear.
Yes, okay. Let me break it down. Talking first not about leaders, but ordinary workers. Were they required to attend any political sessions where they were taught Khmer Rouge ideology?
President, please hold on, Mr. Winner. You may now proceed, Victor Kope.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have an objection because it's not quite clear to me what the questions are aiming at. Are the questions looking at the 20 men or women that were under the supervision of this witness, or is he being asked something about the conditions of all 20,000 workers at the dam? Because if that's the case, obviously he's not in a position to give any evidence to this. So my objection would be this, that the prosecution limits its question to the people that were actually under the supervision of this witness, those 20 men that he is referring to in his earlier testimony. Otherwise, he is entering into the zone of speculation.
Your Honor, I'm happy to break it down, but certainly it's very possible this witness is aware of what happened to people outside this small group he organized. So let's start, Mr. Witness, with the group that you were in charge of, the workers that you supervised. I believe today you said it was 100 approximately. How many did they have to attend political meetings where the ideology of the Khmer Rouge was taught to them?
Answer. They joined the meetings and people from Sangkat came to chair the meeting, and they gave instruction to the workers.
So people from the commune level came to teach. Is that correct?
And they did not come to teach us. They just came to explain us.
What did they explain?
And they explained how to do the work. We were explained that we had to work hard so that we could have the irrigation system. We were instructed how to build a dam, and if we worked fast and we could finish building the dam very quickly, we could have the farming very fast and quickly.
Now, was this type of meeting held only by your group, or do you know if other groups at the first January dam had the same kinds of meetings? If you don't know, just tell us.
Answer: I do not know about it. I knew only what happened in my group.
When they discussed how to do the work, did the sector talk about enemies among the people?
Answer: I have never been in the meeting of the zone, or of the sector committee rather.
Sorry, sir, I'm asking you about the meetings. It's my fault. You said the commune came and spoke to the people. When the commune came and spoke to the people, did they discuss the need to look for enemies among the people?
Answer: they discussed the enemy as well. They said enemies have to be removed. They said that the worm needs to be removed one by one.
Let me start again with my microphone on. Sir, during the DK period, were there marriages in your village?
Answer: yes, there were marriages held in late 1977. There were marriages being held.
Thank you. And from 1975 until late 1977, were marriages prohibited?
Mr. President.
President, please wait, Mr. Winner. You may now proceed, Mr. Kope.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have some difficulty with this question on marriages. This is the first witness of a new segment. We're talking about the 1st January dam. Now, obviously, this witness had a role in the construction of this dam within his 20-person unit. I have obviously no problems in some questions on his background and what his position was. But if we now move to the regulation of marriage in general, and then go to whatever happened in his village, I really don't see the point of doing that. It just opens up a whole new layer of possible evidence that I don't think we should be focusing on right now. We're focusing on the 1st of January dam and his specific role. Theoretically, it is, of course, within the scope, but I think it's much more appropriate to focus with every witness within this segment on his testimony relating to that segment. And if you're opening up now, we need to focus on that as well, taking away time from other relevant elements which we should be discussing rather.
I'm not sure much of a response is required. The Chamber has made it clear from the beginning that witnesses will be examined about all aspects of the case that they have knowledge about. I'm sure counsel's read the statement, so I'm sure he knows that this witness has said that he conducted marriages in his village. So it should come as no surprise to the defense that we're discussing the marriage policy.
President, this question is allowed to put to the witness. You may resume your line of questioning, Mr. Co-Prosecutor.
Thank you. Let me try it this way, Mr. Witness. Let me read from an answer you gave in your 2008 interview. In Khmer, it's at ERN 0023 9911. It's on page 6 in both the English and French. Excuse me, page 7 in the French, page 6 in the English versions. You said, you were asked about marriages, and you said from 1975 until 1977, they did not permit marriages in my sub-district. But starting in September 1977, they did permit marriages. The village chief arranged for the men in the village to marry the women in the same village for fear that they would be single women remaining in the village. I arranged marriages for them, sometimes 30 to 40 couples married at the same time. So, sir, first, is that accurate, what you told the investigators in 2008? Is that an accurate description of the marriage policy in your village during DK period?
Answer yes, that is correct.
Now, once marriages were permitted, you indicated that sometimes 30 to 40 couples married at the same time. Who was it that arranged these marriages?
Answer, as for the marriage, the commune, people from the commune would act as parents. And for village, we only brought the couples to the marriage place. The women in my village would be asked to get married to the man whom she loved. But the marriage had to be complied with the Angkar policy.
And, sir, what was Angkar policy on marriages? What marriages fell within the policy and which marriages would have been prohibited?
Answer. The war was not over yet, and Angkar did not allow marriage to happen during that time because Angkar needed men and women to go into war. And after the war was over, people would be allowed to get married. And for some men and women in the villages, they had not got married yet. That's why they were arranged to get married.
But who suggested then the partnerships? Who would decide this woman should marry this man? And what was the criteria?
Answer. I do not know about the procedure in other villages. And in my village, the man would tell that he loved a certain woman, and likewise the woman would do the same. And after that, we would make a report to the upper echelon about this.
When you reported the couples that were potential partners that wanted to get married, did the upper echelon have to approve that marriage before the couple could get married?
Answer. For the upper echelon, they receive the biography that we sent to them, and after that they would arrange the place for the marriage to take place.
Okay, I'm going to move on because I'm running out of time. I want to ask you about another answer you gave on page 5 of the English interview and also page 5 of the French interview. And the Khmer ERN is 00239909. So you were asked by the investigator, did you personally see them arrest anyone? And you answered, yes, I did see that, but I was unable to do anything about it. The arrests broke the spirits of the others. Many people were arrested and taken away, but I don't remember their names. Later, Bon and Vut were arrested and taken to Barai Chon Tek Pagoda, and they were never seen to return. I knew this because I recognized the security person who worked at the Barai Chon Tek Pagoda security office. And a few lines down, you say his name was Chairman Comrade Mao, and that he was killed in 1977. Sir, these people that were arrested were in the leadership, is that correct?
Answer. Yes, that is correct.
What reason was given for arresting Bon and Vut and Comrade Mao?
Answer. I do not know the reasons because it is beyond my knowledge.
You had also mentioned early in your interview that the Sector 42 chairman was Tol, the Sector 43 chairman was Chan, and that both are now dead, or were dead in 2008 when you were interviewed, and that the Baray District Committee was Sim and Ka, both of whom are deceased, and Balang District Committee was Bon and Boot, who we just discussed, all of them deceased. When you say they were deceased, do you know if all of these people, and tell me if this is correct or not, I don't want to put words in your mouth, were they arrested and then they never appeared again, or how did they die?
Answer, they were put in the security office and they were taken to be killed. President, please repeat your answer. Some parts of your answer were not, did not go through microphone. Witness, I forgot looking at the red tips of the microphone. Bone and wood. And Comrade Mao, they were all deceased. They had been arrested. I did not know why they were arrested. It is beyond my understanding.
Do I have 10 minutes left? Try to cover one further topic quickly, Mr. Witness. In your statement on page 6 in the English version, page 7 in the French, and the Khmer ERN 00239911, you were asked about Cham in your area. First of all, before I read what you said, sir, was there a large community of Cham living in Kampong Thom province when the Khmer Rouge came in your province?
Mr. President, I object to this question. It's asking for speculation. The witness can answer to something what happened in his village, in his unit, and that's about it. He doesn't know anything about what happened in Kampong Thom or the size of the population.
Your Honor, I believe the witness definitely knows more than any of us about what the people were who lived in his province. It'd be like asking any of us about different minorities living in our countries. And this is not such a huge place, Kampong Thom province. He lived there all his life. If the witness doesn't know, he can say so.
President, the objection by the defense counsel is overruled. As the chamber needs to hear the response from the witness to the question by the international co-prosecutor. And Mr. Witness, please respond to the last question if you can recall it. Witness. I do not know for sure. I only know about the Tropeng Chuk village, and I cannot say about the population in the other parts of the province.
Thank you, sir. The village that you just mentioned, was that a Cham village, predominantly Cham?
Tropeng Chuk commune, from my observation at the time, comprise of between 100 to 150 families.
Were there many Cham in that village? Is that what you were... can you tell us approximately how many Cham were there?
I cannot give you an estimate, as the village was rather far from my village. It was about 10 kilometers away from where I lived, but I knew that the Cham people lived in that area.
Did the Cham people have a distinctive way of dressing so that you could recognize Cham by the way they dressed?
If they did not speak, we could not say they were the Cham people.
Did they speak their own language?
They spoke Khmer. However, the accent or their accent was different from the way the Khmer people spoke Khmer.
Sir, on page 6 in English, page 7 in French, in Khmer, ERN 0023-9911, you said this, and I want you to listen to it and then explain to me why you said it. You said the ethnic Cham were considered to be even lower than the 17 April people. The ethnic Cham were forced to eat pork. Their religion was closed down, and they were not allowed to worship. Sir, what did you see or hear during the Democratic Kampuchea period that made you tell the investigator that?
At that time, from what I saw, they were not allowed to stay in their village, and they were relocated or dispersed here and there in various other locations. And if they knew blacksmith, then they would be befriended, and they were forced to eat pork. And some of them refused to eat pork, and they tried to find salt to eat instead. And as for their religion, or we can say also for Buddhism, the religion was abolished. They were not allowed to worship anymore.
Thank you very much, sir, for your patience and answers. Your Honor, my colleagues from the civil parties have further questions.
President, the floor is now given to the lead co-lawyers for civil parties.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would give the floor to my learned colleague, Ong Kim Sun.
Yes, you may proceed. Counsel Hong Kim Soon. Good afternoon, Mr. President, Your Honors, and everyone in the courtroom. My name is Hong Kim Soon, representing the civil parties, and I have supplementary questions to what have been asked by the International Co-Prosecutor through this witness. Good afternoon, Mr. Witness, and I'd like to ask you questions in relation to old people and best people. This morning, you already replied to the questions by the co-prosecutors on the various categories of the people, that is, the full rights people, the candidate people and the depositee people. Could you please inform the Chamber the distinction between the three groups? Answer. The Fulbright people were those who were considered poor, really poor, that they could hardly earn enough for a daily living, and that they were living in the base. They will be put into this category. For those who had enough food to eat yearly, they will be considered the candidate or preparatory people. As for those who were transferred from Phnom Penh or the Cham people, they were considered the depositee people. Thank you. Question. I'd like to ask you questions in relation to your role in managing the people as a village chief. That you were promoted to be a village chief from 1975, and then you also received people from Phnom Penh in the amount of 100 families. In terms of the different categories of people, namely workers and students, which group of the categories were they placed in? Answer. People who had been transferred from Phnom Penh were considered 17 April people. All of them will be considered that way. Question. Thank you. Now I'd like to move on to the construction of the 1st and the 6th January dams. You were the village chief, and you also led your people to work at the dam construction. How were people selected from the village to work at the dam construction site, and who had the authority to make that decision? Answer. On the assignment of the people to work at the work site, in fact, we received instructions from the commune as to the number of people from each village to be sent to work at the dam construction work site during the dry season. Thank you. Question. As on how the people were selected from the village, how did you make that decision? For example, did you make the selection based on the strength of the people in your village or on the age? Answer. The people who were singles, they were unmarried, we could not touch them as they belong to their respective mobile units. As for me, I could only make decision on those people who were married, men or women. Thank you. Question. In your village, and when you engage in the selection process of those married men and women, how many families, including the best people and the old people, were selected? Answer. There were 100 best people families. Then we have another 100 families of all the new people. So in total, I had 200 families in my village. Question. For the selection of the people in your village, including both the best people and the new people, who were selected the most to engage in the dam construction? Answer. In my village, it applied across the board. For those who knew how to work at the dam construction work site, would be sent to work there. And for those who knew how to climb a palm tree, would be sent to climb a palm trees and would not be sent to work at the dam. And that applied to both the old people and the new people groups. Question. When you led people to work at the dam construction, did you provide them with tools? That is, through those who were under your supervision? Answer. Are you referring to baskets and holes? Question. I refer to through different aspects. The tools for digging or building a dam. Who were given you the tools or those tools? And what about the clothes and the food? Answer. For us carrying baskets and holes, we were given by the commune in exchange of unhusked rice. From my recollection, for each hole that was given to us, we had to give back about 15 or 20 kilograms of unhusked rice. And this exchange program also applied to clothing that was provided to us. As for the carrying baskets, we made them by ourselves. Question. This is the first time that I have heard about the exchange program of holes with the unhusked rice. Can you elaborate a little bit more how the exchange was done? Who set the exchange rate or the price? Answer. For each year of rice harvest, Angka would take from us the amounts they considered the price for the holes that were given to us. And that was done through a list kept by the Commerce Office. Thank you. Question. Let me move on from this exchange program. For the people under your supervision and that they were sent to work at the first January dam, how was the living at the work site organized? Did you build accommodation for your people, or were the accommodations provided to you and your people? Answer. As for the living at the work site, we ourselves had to manage our own accommodation. so that we will be able to stay there at the work site. Question. And your people were sent from your village and tools were provided to you. Now, on the issue of making your own huts or accommodation, where did you find the materials, for example, the wood to build the huts? Answer. In my area, there were plenty of timbers that is further up of the first January dam area. So we cut the trees and built the accommodation. And we use hay. We sewn hay together to make a roof for the huts. However, allow me to say, the roof was only good to protect us from the sunlight, but not from the rain. Question regarding the living condition at the first January dam worksite. And you already replied to the question this morning that you were given thick gruel for meals. What about the soup or the dishes? Answer. For the dishes, we, the village chiefs, would assign some workers to go and find food or to go and find fish at the lower part of the area, and they sometimes found dry fish called locally katoro. Council interrupt. It's okay. Please continue. Council. This morning you made a response to the co-prosecutor on the food ration. You said that you were given 2 meals per day, and allow me to ask whether the meals that were given twice daily were sufficient. Answer. The 2 meals that were provided were merely sufficient for that time. Of course, I cannot say that we ate our fill as what we do today, but for that particular period, it was sufficient. Question. Do you mean that it was sufficient, just a symbolic sign of it, or was it really sufficient? Answer. It was actually sufficient, although I must stress it was not as sufficient as what we eat every day now. We had a dish or 2 dishes for each meal. At least we would have a dish for our meal. And sometimes when there were plenty of food, then we could have 2 dishes. However, in 1976 and early 77, it was a drought season, and the food and the fish were not that abundant. Question. Now, I'd like to move on. In your response to the co-prosecutor this morning, that is in relation to your document E3/5255, you said that per day you would be given only a can of rice with morning glory soup. did the ration of food have any impact on the general health condition of the workers at the dam work site? Answer. Allow me to say the taste of food was not that rich, as well as compounded by the lack of hygiene and the overcrowded environment of many workers. Council interrupt. I thank you for your response and for your document. In Khmer, which is 00239908, and in English 00250044. I'd like to ask you again about what you said about digging canals in your group, that each was required to dig 3 cubic meters of dirt per day and night. Is that information correct? President, Mr. Witness, please hold, and Counsel Ndagushe, you have the floor.
Oui, Monsieur le Président.
Yes, Mr. President. Thank you. I would like a little clarification to be made. I didn't hear the ERN, and I don't know whether it was an interpretation problem. We did not receive that ERN in French.
Council for Civil Party, Mr. President, I apologize. I only have the ERNs for the Khmer and the English text, and I cannot locate the ERN for the French language. And I believe this practice is allowed in this chamber. Thank you, and allow me to move on. Again, in relation to the dam construction work site, you said that each worker was required to dig 3 cubic meters of dirt per day and night. What would happen if the quota could not be reached? Was an additional load topped the current quota for the next day? Answer. At the location where I led my people to work, the quota was correct. However, some people, due to their weak strength, they could only do 1 or 2 cubic meters per day. But we just try to cover for their lack of completeness in the quota. Thank you. Also, in your same document, you said that none of your workers had been arrested or sent to be killed, but that happened with other groups. When the instructions were given from the upper echelon and that the quota could not be reached, when the upper echelon or inspectors came to inspect the work site, what was your solution when they found out that your workers could not achieve the set quota? Answer. Actually, the inspectors, when they came, they did not pay particular attention to the actual digging of the dirt. They were more involved in the security matters. Thank you. You, a while ago, spoke about the clothing and the shoes. And you said that shoes were made from car tires. Did the people at the work site find car tires so that they can make shoes from? President, witness, please hold. And Counsel Copper, you have the floor.
Again, Mr. President, same kind of objection. If the witness is confined to the 20 or so people working under his supervision, no problem with the question. If he's asked to answer about the shoes and clothes of all other 20,000 people working at the dam site, obviously he cannot answer. So again, I would like to ask civil parties to restrict their questions to what is within the realm of knowledge of this witness.
Counsel, may I ask the question, what makes you draw the conclusion that he can only know about this 100? There can be other sources of knowledge. We'll only know that if once he has answered.
Well, then the foundation has to be established. I mean, he can see maybe some of the other 20,000 workers, but in his statement he said he was supervising 20, and going from his supervised group to 20,000 is just too big of a step. He should first give testimony as to the foundations of his knowledge, which is continuously going from one place to another place, making a gigantic step, covering the whole dam, and that's simply not the way it should be done.
President, Counsel Hong Kom Soon, please try to follow the modality of questioning by the co-prosecutor. Actually, this morning, some questions of the co-prosecutor had been objected by the defense teams, and he then tried to use alternative approaches which focus more on the personal knowledge of the witness. And I think you should follow that fashion. Please try to rephrase your question. That is, try to subdivide your questions into different sections. Counsel Hong Kom Soon, thank you, Mr. President. Allow me to rephrase my question. Before just then, I asked you a rather broader question, and allow me to rephrase that. Comparing your group to the other groups working nearby, did you observe whether car tires could be obtained by your group or by other groups for making shoes? Answer. On the matter of shoes, actually, not everyone knew how to make shoes. So for those who knew how to make shoes would make shoes for himself or herself, and then they will be asked to make for others as well. Thank you. Question. I'd like to ask you about the women working in your unit. And concerning the health issue of women, in particular those married women, were they given pad or cloth for their period?
Tiền.
Answer. Forget about the sanitary pad. As long as you had sufficient old clothing, that would be good enough.
Counsel, thank you very much. I would like to go back to your statement in relation to the filming of people carrying earth. You said as a as the head of the group, you were running, carrying earth in front of your worker. Is that true? Answer, yes. Actually, we were happy to have the film shot by those crews. That is why we worked very hard during the time that the film was shot. Counsel, in relation to the earth in the baskets that a worker were carrying, if the soil fell out of the baskets, did Angkar punish them? Answer, actually, there was no punishment for worker who spill over the earth from the basket. Actually, at that time, the earth really spilled over the basket. Actually, during that time, there were no film, and we were happy to have the film shot. Counsel, thank you, Mr. Witness. Because of the time, I would like to move to another topic in relation to the marriage. You stated that you arrange women and men to get married. Sometimes 30 to 40 couples married at the same time. And men and women agree to get married. You would report to the upper echelon so that the marriage could be arranged. My question is as follows. Did anyone disagree with the marriage arranged by Angkar? Answer, yes, there were some people did not agree to get married. Counsel, thank you. What happened to those who refused marriage? Answer, for those who refuse marriage, nothing happens to them. Punishment was not imposed on them. They had not been arranged. The marriage had not been arranged for them, and when they refused, so nothing happened to them. If one agrees to get married, then we would arrange for them. Counsel, thank you. You tell the court that you or commune chief would chair the marriage. What about the parents of the couple who were to get married? Were parents of the couple informed of the marriage, and were they invited to the marriage? Answer, the parents did not attend the marriage, and parents were not informed. The commune chief chaired the marriage. Militiamen, village chiefs attended the meeting. Only these people and the couple who were to be married were at the ceremony or at the wedding place. Counsel, I would like to seek your clarification concerning the marriage. Were there traditional music played during the marriage, and were reception arranged? Was a reception party arranged, rather? Answer, concerning dishes, food, and traditional music, there were no such thing. Only we were only allowed to have meals in the dining hall, and the couple were asked to sit close to each other. So couple were sitting close to each other, and after that Angka would introduce those who were to get married, and the couples would be also asked to make a resolution. Usually the marriage would last about 3 hours. There was no any lucrative dinner or meals for those who present. Counsel, thank you. Were the commune chief or did the commune chief or the village chief allows the newlyweds to consummate their marriage? And where would they spend their time together?
បើគ្រួសារបើគូស្វាមី
Answer. Actually, if the newlyweds had their parents alive, they would go to their parents' house to spend time together. But if the newlywed did not have their parents, the commune chief or village chief would find a house for them to spend time together. Counsel, thank you. And how long could the newlyweds spend time together? Answer. Actually, in the village, people were working not far away from their houses. So the newlywed could return home after work, and they could spend time together. Counsel, thank you very much, Mr. Witness. You said that the newlyweds were sometimes working in different unit or different work site. I would like to know how many days did Angka allow the newlywed to spend time together after their marriage? Answer. I have no idea about this matter. And I was not part of the leadership. That is why it is beyond my knowledge. Counsel, thank you very much. I would like to know, after their marriage, did the newlywed get along with each other? And if they did not get along with each other, what happened to them? Answer. After the marriage, from my observation, I did not see any disagreement or dispute among the newlyweds in my village, and their marriage lasts until now. They have children nowadays, and if the newlywed did not get along with each other, the village chief would call them and explain and also give advice. So if they could get along with each other, they would live happily. Counsel, thank you very much. Mindful of the time, I would like to move to another topic with regards to charm, ethnicity. I would like you to tell the chamber about your village. You said this morning that you were in monkhood for about 10 years. you also said that you were working in the dam sites, and did you know the Parai Chuan Dai Pagoda? Answer. This pagoda was called Parai Chuan Dai. I knew Parai Chuan Dai was the name of this pagoda, but I have never been to this pagoda. Actually, the pagoda was turned into a security office. Counsel, could you clarify for the court, or what do you mean by saying it is a security office? Answer. In the former periods, people were brought into that security for re-education, and those who committed wrongdoings, perhaps they would also be sent somewhere that I have no idea. Counsel, thank you. After the liberation, after our country received peace, have you ever been to Parai Chuan Dai Pagoda to have a look? Answer. After the war is gone, Parai Chuan Dai Pagoda returned to its normal operation. I have been to Pagoda to join the religious ceremony at that Pagoda. President, thank you very much. Counsel, you have gone beyond the time allotted to you. It is now a convenient time for a short break. The chamber will take a short break from now until 3 o'clock. Court officer, please find a proper place for this witness to take a rest and have him returned before 3 p.m. The court is now in recess.